are we talking about when we go through essay writing? All right, so first let's look at our instructions because we want to ascertain ourselves what we are expected to do. All right, so number one, it says section A, essay writing. Question one, write an essay of between 250 words. All right, okay, so we start right there, 250 words. All right, so here we know it's 250 words to 300 words in length in one of the following topics, right? And they instruct us, write down the number and the title of the essay you have chosen correctly. For example, 1.1, it is my life. Right, so we get to 1.1, it says it is my life. 1.2, small steps, big changes. 1.3, allow your silence to speak for you. 1.4, that was unexpected. 1.5, comparison is a thief of joy by Theodore Roosevelt. All right, okay. And then we move downwards and we notice that we have got pictures. All right. Then it says choose one of the following pictures and write an essay on a topic that comes to mind. Write the question number 1.6, 1.7, and give your essay a suitable title. Note that there must be a clear link between your essay and the picture you have chosen. All right, so we look at the first one, 1.6. We see that it's a girl that's on a swing. We go to 1.7. We know that it is a robot. Okay, newly invented robots. All right, so we've gone through the questions. All right, we've got also the third picture, that is 1.8. We see a stallion, right? A horse. Okay. All right, so we'll just stop there. All right, so before we even get started, all right, let's just first find out what is expected from us, English file learners, English first additional language. Okay, so right. Okay, let's get to the essay writing. Okay, so what we understand about paper 3. One is that paper 3 is weighted more heavily than paper 1 and 2, which is about 70 and 80 marks respectively, as paper 3 is out of 100 marks. So if we apply ourselves and we focus particularly on very important aspects of this paper, we can perform better. And this can actually try and revive your marks from where they were. All right. Okay, let's look at the different types of essays. So they don't specifically say which essay you're supposed to write. We do know that we've got our narrative essay, we've got our discursive essay, we've got descriptive essay, we've got a reflective essay, and so forth. All right, so what were you supposed to do? Right, so I'm going to go through 1.1 right up until 1.9, all right, and say the possible stances or the possible perspectives that we could have embarked on. Possibly, what could we have done? How could we have done this? All right. So let's start with the first one. The first one, 1.1, says it is my life. Okay. So what do we learn about it is my life? Okay. All right. So it is my life. All right. So you're thinking about life. All right. It could be your primary state of existence. All right. It could be a lifestyle that you're thinking about. Okay. What else comes into our mind when we're thinking about life? Okay. It could be the life that you want to have. It could be your life biologically, also psychologically. That can also be one's life. All right. So what are we expected to do? Right. Number one, if you have chosen topic 1.1, 1.2, 1.3, 1.4, 1.5. All right. The first thing that you need to do at this moment, okay, you need to make sure that you start with your planning. All right. So how are we going to plan? We're going to plan going through 1, 2, 3, maybe 5, 6, 7, 8 steps. All right. So number one, the first thing that you're going to do if you're talking about my life, all right, it's exposition, your hook. So you want to start your essay with a hook. Yes, we want to start our essay with a hook. All right. So a hook can be anything from starting it with a quotation, starting your essay with a question or a joke or a statement, all right, or something that one can think about. All right. Gone are those days when we start essays with, oh, it was a sunny day, or it was a happy, happy day, or it was September the 3rd. All right. But now we started with a hook. All right. So a hook is actually a thrilling, staring event or problem to stir up interest immediately. All right. So we want to stir up interest about our life. All right. So we will probably saying life is what you make of it. Have you ever thought about what your life could be if you didn't make the decisions that you make? Question mark. Right. In that case, you were actually inviting the marker to consider the possibilities of what you could have done, of what your life could have been. All right. All right, let's look at the second one. We look at 1.2. Small steps, big changes. All right. Exposition, right? It's the first step of your essay. We could have asked ourselves, so what could be a possible problem to this? All right. The problem with life is that making decisions is not always an easy thing. But what do you do when you are forced to make the decision at that time? Full stop. All right. So do you see how I, in a way, invite the marker to actually consider my train of thought, right? Or I could say, well, taking that step was by far the best step that I could take. But did I know where it was going to lead me? All right. So in that way, we are actually introducing the small steps and the big changes, the possibilities of the step being bigger. All right. So that is the exposition, all right, for topic number 1.2. All right, let's go to 1.3. Allow your silence to speak for you. All right. Sometimes you don't need to say anything, but your silence can do all the work for you. All right. I've just started my essay with a statement. All right. I've made a statement. All right. So that's what I've done. All right. Or you can ask yourself a question, ask the marker a question, ask your audience the question. Um, does it really matter what you say when somebody won't listen to you? If they will not accept your words, better serve them with your silence. All right. In that way, I'm immediately drawn to what you're trying to say. Immediately at that point, I'm drawn to where you might take me. All right. So remember, your essay is a journey. We are exploring, we are going somewhere. All right, with this. Okay. Let's move on. We go to 1.4. That was unexpected. All right. Something that is unexpected happens suddenly. It's something we didn't see coming. We did not have a foresight about it. We did not see that it was going to happen. That was unexpected. So you are going to be talking about that experience. So your focus is on that experience, that happening, that event, which you ultimately found to have been unexpected, meaning that you did not expect to see it happening the way it happened. But excuse me about that. Then we move on to 1.5. Comparison is the thief of all joy. All right. Comparison. Okay, let's go there. Comparison. A nice big word right there. All right. Comparison. All right. What could comparison be? All right. Comparison is when you put two things alongside each other and you look at the advantages or the disadvantages of either or. All right. So we're saying that our ability to put things alongside each other and actually lay out their disadvantage or advantages can sometimes steal our ability to be happy around. So, for example, if I am going to be comparing my shoe with my friend's shoe, so I don't enjoy my shoe. Or you can either agree with it or even disagree with it. So remember this, boys and girls, is creative writing. And if it's creative writing, it means that you need to think out of the box. You need to do something that is outside the ordinary. And that's what the marker is expecting you to do, right? Because it's giving you a quotation. So you need to explore this quotation in detail. All right. Okay. Then we look at the pictures. All right, what do we see with the picture? Right, we see there's this girl. Right, let's look at some of the aspects that we see in this picture. All right, so we see there's a building there. We see that she's innocent. Yes, because we're looking at her facial expression. What else do we see? Okay, she's wearing shoes, well taken care of. She's wearing clothes. It seems as if she's in like a park. We look at the setting. All right, look at the setting. All right, so that's the setting. What else do we see? We see that the passerbyers right there. We see a very, very tall building right up there. Right, very, very tall building. And we see other passerbyers right there. All right, there's another passerby right there. So there's a lot of aspects. We can see that she's holding on to the swing for dear life, a tight grip. All right. So there is a number of things that we can talk about with this. All right. When I look at it, my mind gives birth to innocence. Yes, being young, being lively, not knowing what's going to happen. Right, being free, isolated in a big city. All right, so those are things that you can talk about. All right, and then okay, we see robotics AI right here. Okay, we see that this one is doing some cooking. Oh yes, thank you, sir, for doing some cooking. We see a smile on his face, meaning that this robot, in fact, enjoys. So we could look at robots that actually have emotional intelligence, not just artificial intelligence. We look at that it's working in a kitchen. That's the setting. All right. So that remember the setting. All right. We look at the setting. We see that it's happening there. What else? What else do we see? I'm not. So we see a stove. Okay, it's pretty hot. We see it's holding a spatula and it knows how to hold it very well. And yes, and so forth. Okay, then we move on to the next one. All right, stallion. Okay, so what do we think about? We only see a stallion. All right, of course, we see something. It is a very strong horse. Right, look at its legs. All right, very, very strong. We look at the beauty that it has. All right. We look at the way that it's able to move. All right. Look at how it's stretching its feet. All right. So we look at the freedom that is embedded there. All right. I can also see that the tail is just waving in the wind. All right. Look at the tail. Look at its back. All right. We can tell that the breeze, this cool breeze, is actually hitting very hard on this horse, even as it moves. Okay. All right. So that's what we have seen. All right. So I've taken you through the exposition right now. So that's the exposition. That's things that we think of, the hook. That is the start of one's essay. All right. That's the hook. That's you actually think about when you are fishing. Right. That's something that's to win over your marker. So your marker only focuses on your paper, being very impressed with it. All right. So with all these topics that I've just been through, right? The first thing that you want to do, right, is to begin with the hook. And we've done that hook, right? Okay. And then your hook can be just two sentences. All right. So number one, right? So with the hook, we start with just two sentences. All right. So it's two sentences. All right. Two sentences. All right. So that's where we do. Okay. That's the hook, right? That's you bringing it closer. Number two, right? What do we do then afterwards? Okay. Then we have to create a conflict. Then, what was the problem? So it's my life. All right. So you've started it by saying that it is your life, that how difficult it is when somebody tries to force you to live a certain way, but you only realize later on that this is actually your life and you need to live it. All right. So then now you have to create a problem. All right. What is the problem? What's the challenge for the main protagonist? Remember, we are writing a narrative essay, all right? Whether it's a narrative essay, whether it's a reflective essay, you are trying to communicate a problem, right? So what is the problem that is faced, all right? So sometimes people want to live your life, or if it's the second topic, small steps, big changes, all right? So you see that most times in life, we find ourselves in positions where we want to change things, all right? But it is the small steps in life that ultimately leads us to those big changes that we see. All right. So, or it could be even allow your silence to speak with you. So even with that, you create the problem. You show me what the problem is. You show me where the problem could be. All right. And then we move on. to the second step. All right. So, but before that, we need to speak about the weakness. Right. At this moment, all right, you're still on your introduction. All right. Your introduction will go something like this. All right. So let's say we are using the second topic, small steps, big changes, or we're using that was unexpected. All right. In all my life, knowing what I could do and what I could get up to, I always expected the best of all my actions. But after seeing my weakness and the fact that I could not speak good to people and I could not admonish them in kind voices, I did not expect that I would lose my friends. All right, did you see me raising up the conflict? Did you see me starting with the problem? Did you see me actually getting you to be hooked, asking you a question? All right, so I've created now the problem. Now, the third thing that I'm going to do now, the third thing that you're expected to do in your introduction is to now introduce me to the setting of your essay, right? So where is it taking place, all right? So after asking me that question about whether your silence was appreciated or not, the next thing that you now need to do is to create a setting, all right? Now, you now narrate to me that on that day, well, I was with my friends sipping coffee at the nearby coffee shop, all right? So you've given me a setting, and the fourth thing that you do is also give me your characters, all right? So that's what you do. Number one, you give me a hook. You give me the conflict and the problem. Number two, in your introduction, you need to make sure that you give me that will feature into your essay. The people that are going to interact with each other. All right. So logic. Then it goes towards the end, and then paragraphs where you have then you've got your third paragraph of your body that is paragraph 4 of even having that only depends on how many aspects of the giving me a background. A internship was just not expected. You then give me wanted to unwind and wonderful to do the setting. Who I know from attaining the goal. All right. Who you can go to there. Change the whole thing. All right. So now something. All right. Now to try to between evacuate that you are going to I think now we are telling the action is. So it starts nice and swiftly with you and your friend having a conversation. Then it rises to the action. Then we get to the real action. And when it gets to the real action, we then see the falling of the action. That is the main climax. All right. So we see the climax. That's the highest point in your story. So your story needs to follow that. Number one, your exposition, right? Where you introduce the story. Number two, you then go into the rising action, right? What builds up the tension. Those instances that build up the terms with each other, and they you bring back to your topic, which says that was unexpected. You never thought things could, you never expected things to take the turn they did. You never expected to slap your friend and your friend slaps you back. And you certainly did not expect that you will win back your friendship after your friendship had gone astray the way it did. All right. So see what we've done. We've actually built a story. Excuse me about that. You're going to maybe speak about the what happened in the beginning of the story. All right, beginning of the story. Then the third point, you want to speak to what happened in the middle. Remember, you're telling me a story. And if you're telling me a story, it needs to flow chronologically, right? It needs to follow a chronological order. And then if you go to number four, then you're going to tell me what happens towards the end. All right. Then it goes towards the end. And then number five, of course, you're going to have your conclusion. All right. Ideally, an essay needs to have 5 paragraphs where you have got your introduction, paragraph 1. Then you've got first paragraph of the body, that is paragraph 2. Then you have got your your second paragraph of your body, that is paragraph 3. Then you've got your third paragraph of your body, that is paragraph 4. And then you've got your last paragraph, that is going to be a conclusion, that is paragraph 5. All right. Some learners normally go through the line of even having more than, say, 5 paragraphs. Some people can even have more than 5 paragraphs. All right. And that only depends on how many aspects of the topic you would like to discuss. But please, the most basic format is to have 5 paragraphs. Okay. All right. So now we've dealt with what we need to do in our narrative essay. All right. So the third thing that we need to look forward to in our essay, all right, is giving me a background. All right. So we need to give, so number one, in your introduction, you gave me a hook. All right. You hooked me by telling that out of all the things that I've known to be able to do, what happened to me after I lost my friendship was just not expected, completely unexpected. You've given me a hook. Number two, you then give me your characters and your setting. I remember that day when I was with my friends at that coffee shop, which had just newly been open. Okay, so you're giving me the character and you're also giving me the setting. All right, and then the next thing that you need to do for me at this point is to give me the background. All right, we had gone there because we just wanted to unwind and find something wonderful to do and think about the ideas that we had to plan for our summer holidays. All right, so you're giving me the background as to what brought you to the setting. Who were the characters that were there? It was you, of course, and your friend. But what made you decide to come there? All right, that is your exposition. All right, then we get to the complication, all right, of things. The paragraph 1 of your body. All right, now you begin to show me how a problem starts. One or more problems that prevent your characters from attaining the goal. All right, so initially, y'all had planned to go out to Durban and to enjoy your summer holidays. So sitting here, you decided that it was not a good idea for you guys to go to Durban, but rather you wanted to go to Cape Town because you had other friends in Cape Town. So you were now going to change the whole thing. All right. So here you're giving me the weakness, the problem that prevents your character from actually fulfilling something. All right. So that's what you do in your first paragraph. You now tell me what happens at the beginning. You try to change the topic from Durban to Cape Town, and that caused conflict between you. All right. And then as that continued, it was a back and forth argument up until your friend decided to leave. All right. And when he left, you were not happy. All right. You decided then that you are going to follow him. All right. Then comes to your next paragraph. All right. So you follow your friend, and well, your friend does the unthinkable. And does what? And your friend decides to slap you. and you slap them back. All right. So now you are telling me what the rising action is. So it starts nice and swiftly with you and your friend having a conversation. Then it rises to the action. Then we get to the real action. And when it gets to real action, we then see the falling of the action. That is the main climax. All right. So we see the climax. That's the highest point in your story. So your story needs to follow that. Number one, your exposition, right? Where you introduce the story. Number two, you then go into the rising action, right? What builds up the tension. Those instances that build up the tension. Number three, you then go on to the climax. That's the highest point in the story where your friend ultimately slaps you and you slap them back. All right. And then this is the point of the story that is at its peak. So now we want to know what happened. So now your friend has slapped you and you slapped him back. What then? Did you expect this? How are you feeling? Right. So then after that, we get to the falling of the action. So maybe people come and they stop you guys and they say that maybe you should not fight the way you guys are fighting. You guys are friends and you guys need to fix things and things must be better. All right. So this is the point where in the story you realize what your actions have caused. All right. So after looking at the complication of the problem, you remember something that happened before the story took place. Now you say, well, maybe this is in your third paragraph, and then this, you remember that you failed to look at your anger. You failed to keep your anger and your short temper in place. All right. You're having a flashback now. All right. So now you're actually reconsidering, why did I do what I did? My friend has left me. Is this a good thing or is this a bad thing? You decide to follow after your friend. And when you find your friend again, you decide to fix things. And the story ends with you guys being in good terms with each other. And then you bring back to your topic, which says that was unexpected. You never thought you never expected things to take the turn they did. You never expected to slap your friend and your friend slaps you back. And you certainly did not expect that you will win back your friendship after your friendship had gone astray the way it did. All right. So see what we've done. We've actually built a story chronologically. All right. Chronologically. So it could happen that in any way you want to write maybe a descriptive essay, right? Remember, with your descriptive essay, it's different from a narrative essay. In a descriptive essay, of course, that's where you look at other things like your imagery and your tenses, all right? Okay, so you need to look at those things, all right, when you get to it, all right? So you need to make your description stand out. For example, the poet Mongani Wali Sirote writes in his description, my hand like a starved snake rears into my pocket for my thin Everlean wallet. All right. So you see how those descriptions literally come alive, even if it's a topic like it was unexpected. So you also need to make sure that you devise imageries that are associated with light, sound, hearing, taste, and touch. All right. So it must come to a point where I can even feel it. Right. So for example, it's not just that the food that they were cooking was delicious, right? But it's more about the food that they were cooking was harassing my nostrils. Okay. Did you see how I just created a vivid imagery where I'm able to make you think about what is going on? I'm able to make you see what I'm imagining. I'm able to make you experience what I am seeing. So it's all about getting to that point where you are able to experience just like the other person. All right. Make your audience feel it. Make your audience hear it. Right. For example, her hand collided with my face and it created a loud slap. Wow. That imagery has the power to make me visualize it and also hear the sound of the person's hand colliding against my skin. All right. Make sure that you use figurative language, all right? So it's not just how the person got here and you sat down. No, he got here and he floated onto the seat, or he took a seat. All right, use your emotive language. All right, that drilled into my fears. That's emotive language. All right. Things like you are also allowed to use subjective language. This is where you write about your personal feelings. All right. Remember, it's a descriptive essay. That's where you're allowed to do it. Right. Then we look at, in case you decide to choose it in a reflective essay format. Remember, if you're going to write it as a form of a reflective essay, all right, you need to present your views and ideas and thoughts and feelings on a particular topic, usually something that you feel strongly about. All right. It turns to be, boys and girls, much more personal. It needs to be personal rather than subjective. You need to be very, very careful with the structure, but you do not need to present a clear conclusion. Remember, because it is an emotional essay, nor does it have to present a balanced discussion, although it might or can be witty or serious. Okay. So, for example, a reflective essay usually includes the writer's emotional experiences and you actually reflecting on a past experience, what you did, how you acted, and how things could be like in the future. See? All right. So there is actually and something that you could use in order to remember it. All right. There's something that you can use. I normally call it like I normally call it my way of remembering things. It's called the KIT. All right. So where you find that your K refers to knowledge and experience. You write about what you know, what you've experienced, what you've observed, what you can include your thoughts and your feelings, right? Imagery, use strong figurative words, similes, metaphors, describe it in a way that will create the imagery and tense, right? Very important when you're writing an essay, your tense. Try your best as far as possible, boys and girls, to make sure that you keep your tense the same throughout your essay, right? Unless, of course, you are referring back to what someone said, of course, and then it will be in direct speech or present tense. But try your best to keep your tense at the same time, at the same place. All right. Right. Then we've got other essays that you could write about. That is your argumentative essay. An argumentative essay tends to be subjectively argued. It's actually, boys and girls, your attack or your defense is on a particular topic, and it has to be consistent and well argued as possible, but it will inevitably be one-sided. The conclusion clearly states where the writer stands and why. All right. So you need to have your own stance, right? Your own belief. Write it in the present tense. You must begin your essay by stating your opinion. So from the onset of your essay, I need to know how you believe about how you believe. For example, allow your silence to speak for you. I want to know whether you believe in this. Like, we allow our silence to speak for us? Should we remain silent, or should we just accept things the way they happen? All right. So that's your argumentative essay. Two, you are also expected to support your views by giving reasons and linking them in a logical way. For example, using linking words because this shows that, however, this suggests that, it can be argued that, right? So it's not just about saying that, yes, you must be silent and must be quiet and let people do what they want, without you drawing a logical train or a logical connection between you keeping silent and what it yields in future. All right. So you must be able to argue in a logical way, present an argument that is logical. When ending this essay, you need to use a strong conclusion that clearly and convincingly states your opinion. Right. So you need to tell me what you believe in. You need to tell me how you need to tell me how you got to the conclusion that you got to. All right. So those are things that you can work on in terms of your genres of essays. All right. So now let's look at what is expected from you in this essay. All right. So I'm going to just go straight onto your rubric. All right. So if you so your essay rubric is divided into 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 categories. All right. So the rubric goes to 6 categories, and then on your y-axis you have got your content, planning, as well as language. All right, so that's what you have. All right, where we've got content and planning, which will be for out of 30 marks. All right, so 30 marks. So let's just see what content and planning has to do. So number one, for you to get 30 out of 30, you need to have an outstanding and a striking response. All right, beyond normal expectation. It needs to be intelligent, boys and girls, and thought-provoking. Now, this is your introduction, your three body paragraph, as well as your conclusion. Right, it needs to be at that place where it is intelligent and thought-provoking. We need matured ideas, and thirdly, it needs to be exceptionally well organized, meaning that it needs to follow that category that I said to you in the beginning of the session, where you need to follow your exposition, right, your conflict that starts, your rising action, right, and reaching to the peak of your climax of your essay, then the falling of the action, then the resolution. So is it well organized? Does it follow that category? All right. And then we look at your language. All right. So it's divided into 30 marks for content and planning. And then we have got 15 marks for language. So what are we looking for in terms of language? We're looking for the tone, all right? The tone, the attitude that is reflected by your essay, right? The register. Are you writing it in a formal, colloquial, talkative style, or you're writing it in academic language, all right? Vocabulary. Are you using the right word to express things, all right? So if you're speaking about somebody who actually made you do something, are you speaking properly to saying that this person maneuvered me to do so, this person persuaded me, this person motivated me to do something? So that counts for your vocabulary. Are you using the right words for the right experiences? All right, next then we look at our word choice and the context, and we also look at the language use and conventions. We also look at, are you able to punctuate your essay? Most of us tend to write essays which have got very little punctuation, boys and girls. See, no, it shouldn't be like that. You need to make sure that you keep your sentences short. Keep your sentences short and express your idea, then move on. All right. Then we also will be looking at your grammar. Those are all the rules that govern the language. All right. Are you following the right rules? Are you constructing your sentences the right way? And as well as spelling. So please, your spelling, boys and girls, it has to be on par. It has to be in par with caps. All right. You cannot afford to be making spelling mistakes. All right. If you're not sure about a spelling of a specific word, then what do? Right. You try to find another word, all right, that you can use. We cannot avoid. We are trying to get as many marks as we can here on paper 3. All right. So, and then we look at the last aspect, the last component here. It is your style. So we have content, we had language, now we have style. What are we looking for in style? We're looking for the feature and taste of paragraph development and sentences. All right. So we want to know if you've developed your topic properly, right? So you gave us a background, you gave us the characters, you set the scene properly. You were able to keep us hooked in. Your paragraphs are in equal proper lengths. Your paragraphs actually all discuss a specific idea. You have exceptional details and exceptional well construct. So that's what we're looking at, and that is your essay. All right. So that's your essay, 1.1 right up until 1.9. So that's what we are looking at when we are doing your essay. So in this hour, what have we done, boys and girls? In this hour, I have showed you what you were supposed to do, right? Number one, we said that we were supposed to look at the exposition, right? That's the first part, right? We were planning. Number two, we needed to look at our rising action, the building up of our story, right? The leading up to that part of that essay, that part of the climax. The third part was reaching our climax. At this part, you are probably on your third paragraph or second paragraph of your body, and then the falling of the action as well as our resolution. So we looked at that and how we get there in terms of our essay, right? Whether we're doing the picture, whether we're doing the horse, or whichever thing that we are looking for. All right. Thank you so much for tuning in. Now we're going to look into section B, that is the longer transactional text. What were you supposed to do there? All right. So with the longer transactional writing, let's look what was expected of us. All right. So it says choose one of the following topics and write a longer transactional text. The body of your response should be between 120 words and in length, and write down the number and the heading of your text and that you have chosen. For example, to letter of application. All right, so let's start with the letter of application. All right, so letter of application. All right, so there's two things that we need to remember when it comes to the letters, all right, that we are expected to do. All right. It says 2.1. You are a student at a tertiary institution. A local bookshop has advertised a part-time position for a shop assistant. You wish to apply for this opportunity. Okay, all right. So number one, we need to find out what we are going to do. All right. So we understand here that we are students. All right. So I'm a student. I need to make sure that I underline tertiary. All right. Tertiary. A local bookshop has advertised a part-time shop assistant position, and we wish to apply. All right, so number one, this is a formal letter. All right, so it's a formal letter of application. All right, so the first thing that we need to do, all right, looking at this, of course, we need to start by writing our address. All right. So you start first by your address, right? So it's going to be your address. So we're going to probably start with our address. All right there. Maybe we're going to say 27 Litchfield Street, Pietermaritzburg. Then I am going to have got my my area code, which is 3201, and I'm writing this on the 22nd of October 2024. All right. Okay, so that's my address. Immediately I'm done with the address. All right, what do? I need to write the address. I skip a line and I do the address of the other person. All right. So before that, make sure that you write your date. All right. So you don't skip a line when you write a date. Do not skip a line when you write the date. Do not skip a line when doing the date. When All right, so we don't skip a line when we're writing the date. Great, lovely. All right, so we need to find out how we're going to go about this later. Number one, we are writing to apply to a specific job. So we need to make sure that number one, our tone is it's very genuine and it is formal. All right. So you are probably going to start where after you have written the person's address, maybe let's just invent an address for the person that we are writing to. All right. Maybe we could say to the manager of the local bookshop. All right. So you're addressing it. And then you're going to start by saying, dear sir, madam, or dear sir, madam. All right. You skip a line and you write your reason for writing this letter. I write to you to inform you of my desire to work at your company, or I write this letter to you to apply for a position that was advertised on the Star newspaper on such and such and such a date. All right. So you start off by giving me the reason why you're writing. All right. You're writing in order to apply for the bookshop assistant position. All right. Then after doing that, you're going to skip your line, all right? And then you're going to tell me why the person should hire you, all right? I think you should hire me because I've been working with books and literature from a young age. I've spent extensive time in a library, and I think that I will be a great asset to your company or to your outlet, all right? And then you're going to skip another line, all right, to say that I have studied at the University of Toronto and I've done 1, 2, and 3, and therefore I think that I'm the perfect candidate for this position, right? Then you go to your last paragraph. I hope that you will find this letter and I will get the position, all right? I can be contacted on 084-524-5664, all right? Then you make sure that you sign your name at the end and you write out your initial. That is your letter of appreciation. That's what was expected from you yesterday. All right. Then we look at the magazine article. It says the editor of a magazine for teenagers is asking for articles on the topic, how to manage your leisure time effectively. You would like to submit an article on this topic. All right. So, number one, you will try to look at this article, right? Look at this topic, all right? So you need to first start by planning, right? The editor, all right? So you are the editor of the magazine. You're the editor, all right? So the editor, so no, not you being the editor, but the editor of the magazine for teenagers is asking your help. You are going to write an article. So you are just the writer of the article. So you're not writing this to the editor. You're just writing an article. And your article, how to manage your leisure time effectively. All right. So how? The word how, all right, it needs to give us a method. So number one, you need to propose strategies and methods on doing something, on how to manage your time, your leisure time effectively. What does it mean, boys and girls, to manage, right? So when we manage something, all right, it means that that specific thing is in our care for a specific time. Right. That particular thing is in our care. We are supposed to do something. We are supposed to handle it. So in other words, how to manage your time could be how to actually hold your time. All right. How to actually use your time profitably. All right. And then great. That is what it means to manage. It means to be accountable for something. It means to keep something. All right. It means to use it in the right way. All right, leisure time. That is the time that you are given in order to relax and do things on your own. So those are the things you should be speaking about when you're writing your steps. All right. So how? So you're giving me methods. You're giving me strategies. All right. Manage. All right. Manage. How do you hold it? All right. How do you use it profitably? All right. Your leisure time. All right. When do we get leisure time? All right. We get leisure time at home. We get leisure time at school. We get leisure time at work. We get leisure time sometimes at church. So we get leisure time also on camp. So how do we normally use our leisure time? All right. So, all right. Then we move on to the shorter transactional text. All right. It says here, choose one of the following topics and write a short transactional text. The body of your response should be between 80 and 100 in length. All right. So before we even get to it, I like to discuss the rubric. All right. The rubric, just like we discussed the rubric with our essay, we're now going to discuss the rubric with this one. All right. Find out what we were supposed to do and what was our rubric supposed to look like? All right. So I'm going now back to the rubric. This is the rubric that is used in order to look at assessing the shorter transactional texts. All right. So the shorter, the longer transactional text, I mean to say. All right. So we also have content and planning, language and style, where content and planning is out of 15. All right. So in order for us to secure those 15 marks, what must we do? All right. We need to have a response and ideas that have got great organization of ideas, perfect planning, the purpose of the audience, the features to take. So in other words, that you must present an outstanding response beyond normal expectation. All right. So it shouldn't be a normal conversation that you expect, or a normal conversation that anyone can expect. So if you give something that is mundane, that is normal, you will get a normal mark. And that's not what we're striving for, aren't we? Right? We're striving for making sure that we get the best possible marks. So you need to have an outstanding response. Maybe your father's going to come back from work, and your father's probably not going to be willing to sit down with you and have a conversation. Or maybe he's going to be quite upset that you are going to have this, or perhaps you are a bit scared to have this conversation with your father, or perhaps you do not know how to start it. It is small details like that, boys and girls, that make it very interesting, all right, and then push the marker to actually give you a higher mark, all right. So it needs to be intelligent, and it needs to have matured ideas, all right. Have great ideas. So don't let it be just, Dad, please sit down, I've got something to tell you, all right. So perhaps you're driving with your dad and you're in a car, and maybe you're eating dinner, and then you just bring up the topic, all right. Make it out of the box, make it something new, all right. Don't just make it to something that is there, right, something that anybody can do, right. Okay, so let's move on. Okay, so another point that you need to do, the writing needs to maintain focus, all right, coherence and content and ideas, all right. So it needs to follow a certain way, all right. So if it's an obituary, all right, you need to follow the chronological order of things, all right. If it is a dialogue, also it needs to also be highly elaborated, right? So please, the only way you can get the highest marks is if you go over and beyond what you are expected to do. The people that get the highest marks, they go over and beyond. It's not people that just write mundane things and normal things, all right? They have to make sure that it's quite expressive. And if it's expressive, then you are able to get the best possible marks, all right? Nicely done. All right. So now let's move on to the next part of the rubric. All right. The language and the style. All right. So we look at the language and the style. With language and style, what are we looking for? With language and style, we're looking for tone. Remember, that's the attitude, right? And the voice of your writing. Your register, is it formal or is it informal, right? What is the style, right? Which style did you use? Did you use a talkative style? Did you use an academic style, right? Did you use a very strict style, right? You need to say what style that you have to use, and you need to develop that style and develop it very well in a way that will actually set your entire essay into fire. All right. Okay. It needs to be vocabulary needs to be highly appropriate to the purpose of the audience. Remember, if you're writing an audience, all right, so your vocabulary, you can't just say, yeah, Dad, I'm right here, man. Dude, I can't do it, man. I wanna just not come here. Dad, man, don't tell me that. What you saying? What you gonna do, Dad? Oh no, Dad. Right. We're not expecting you to say that, because the vocabulary that you use, it needs to be the same. It needs to fit the description, right? It needs to fit what you are doing at this moment, all right? Try your best to keep your vocabulary at that. Okay. You need to make sure that you check your grammar, and it needs to be accurate, and it needs to be virtually error-free. All right, that is what you have. So if you're able to do those things, there is no way that a marker will not give you 20 out of 20 for this, or 30 out of 30 for this. Can a marker give you less than that? If you follow all these instructions I've laid out? Of course not. The marker would make sure that you get all the marks that you need. All right. Okay. So let's just see what's going on here. All right, now we get to the shorter transactional pieces. All right, so your shorter transactional pieces that we've been given here is the poster, the diary entry, the instructions. All right, okay, let's see. What are we supposed to do with these instructions? What are we supposed to do? All right, let's just see. They are telling us there, they say to us that choose one of the following topics and write a short transactional text. The body of your response should be between 80 and 100 words in length. Write down the number and the heading of the text that you have chosen, e.g., or 3.1 poster. All right, so the poster is the first one that we have been given there. All right, so let's just see what we are supposed to do where it gets the poster. All right, the poster, it says your local municipality is hosting a poster competition to promote tourism in your hometown. Would you like to enter? You would like to enter the competition. All right. So you need to design a poster. All right. So a poster, remember, it needs to be written in big and bold. The small words that you write with your pen will not be able to be seen. So every word that you write on that poster needs to be big. So you make sure that you use good color. Make sure that you use big words. All right. Make sure that it's got catchy phrases. Yes. Make sure that you use very powerful, a very powerful punctuation mark, your exclamation marks, your commas. All right. Make sure that there's a picture. All right. There's graphic. All right. That is actually going to be showing and advertising tourism. All right. You want to show ships. You want to show a boat. You want to probably show a train and a bus and a car. Anything that has to do with tourism. You want to show maybe a center like Hector Peterson or a tourist attraction somewhere there. Something that will really attract the person to actually give you the competition. All right. So we look at 3.2. Yes, 3.2. You have recently returned from a holiday that turned out differently to what you had expected. Write 2 diary entries. The first entry must express your feelings before the holiday, and the second entry must express your feelings after your holidays. All right. So they're saying that you have recently returned. So this is an aftermath. So this is you recollecting. This is you reflecting, all right, on something that has already happened. So it has already happened, it's gone, and now you need to write your feelings about it. Now, 2 diary entries, remember, 80 to 100 words. Your first one, this is where you first say that, oh, well, this is how I felt before I went on the holiday. All right, I was feeling quite indifferent, didn't think that I was going to be excited about it. I'm not a person who likes going away, especially because we were using a flight. I was not really keen on taking this holiday. Yeah, I just thought that maybe it's not going to go well. All right, so you're telling me all these feelings that have to do with before. So, dear diary, my feelings were that this thing was not going to work out. And although in my mind, I kept telling myself that, it might work, but I could see that because I've never done this before, it will definitely not going to work. All right, so, and then before the trip, I was feeling very sad, leaving my family behind. I also wanted to take my friend with me to this trip, to keep me company. And I was sad when my father told me that I couldn't take my friend with me. All right. So please have great ideas about it. Also, maybe you can even speak about how you got very sick during the day. You got very sick and you did not know what you were going to do because this is not what you expected. This is not what you wanted to do. All right. Okay, and then we get to the other entry. The other entry, remember that this is after the trip. So now after the trip, so you were feeling quite indifferent. You were feeling quite skeptical, very doubtful about the trip, all right? But now that you have done the trip, so what do you say about it now? Okay, what do you think that overall, was it a good experience? Or because you enjoyed the food, you enjoyed the scene, or was it bad? All right, so there's a number of things that you can speak about. There's a number of things that you can put on in terms of this trip. All right. Okay. So what happened ultimately? How did you find the place? All right. Did you enjoy it? All right. How was your accommodation? Were they welcoming? All right. Or did you feel that they were quite rude? Would you go back to this kind of place? All right. These are all thoughts that need to circulate and orbit your mind when you're about to do this thing. All right. Okay. So that is your diary entry that is out of 20. That's what you were expected to do. All right. Then we have got instructions. All right. Okay. Let's look at our instructions. All right. With our instructions, it says you have planned many All right, now we get to the shorter transactional pieces. All right, so your shorter transactional pieces that we've been given here is the poster, the diary entry, the instructions. All right, okay, let's see. What are we supposed to do with these instructions? What are we supposed to do? All right, let's just see. They are telling us there, they say to us that choose one of the following topics and write a short transactional text. The body of your response should be between 80 and 100 words in length. Write down the number and the heading of the text that you have chosen, e.g., or 3.1 poster. All right, so the poster is the first one that we have been given there. All right, so let's just see what we are supposed to do where it gets the poster. All right. The poster, it says your local municipality is hosting a poster competition to promote tourism in your hometown. Would you like to enter? You would like to enter the competition. All right, so you need to design a poster. All right, so a poster, remember, it needs to be written in big and bold. The small words that you write with your pen will not be able to be seen. So every word that you write on that poster needs to be big. So you make sure that you use good color. Make sure that you use big words. All right, make sure that it's got catchy phrases. Yes, make sure that you use very powerful, very powerful punctuation mark, your exclamation marks, your commas. All right, make sure that there's a picture. All right, there's graphic. All right, that is actually going to be showing and advertising tourism. All right, you want to show ships, you want to show a boat, you want to probably show a train and a bus and a car, anything that has to do with tourism. You want to show maybe a center like Hector Peterson or a tourist attraction somewhere there, something that will really attract the person to actually give you the competition. All right, so we look at 3.2. Yes, 3.2. You have recently returned from a holiday that turned out differently to what you had expected. Write 2 diary entries. The first entry must express your feelings before the holiday, and the second entry must express your feelings after your holidays. All right, so they're saying that you have recently returned. So this is an aftermath. So this is you recollecting. This is you reflecting, all right, on something that has already happened. So it has already happened, it's gone, and now you need to write your feelings about it. Now, 2 diary entries, remember, 80 to 100 words. Your first one, this is where you first say that, oh, well, this is how I felt before I went on the holiday. All right, I was feeling quite indifferent, didn't think that I was going to be excited about it. I'm not a person who likes going away, especially because we were using a flight. I was not really keen on taking this holiday. I just thought that maybe it's not going to go well. All right, so you're telling me all these feelings that have to do with before. So, dear diary, my feelings were that this thing was not going to work out. And although in my mind, I kept telling myself that, it might work, but I could see that because I've never done this before, it will definitely not going to work. All right, so, and then before the trip, I was feeling very sad, leaving my family behind. I also wanted to take my friend with me to this trip, to keep me company, and I was sad when my father told me that I couldn't take my friend with me. All right, so please have great ideas about it. Also, maybe you can even speak about how you got very sick during the day. You got very sick and you did not know what you were going to do because this is not what you expected. This is not what you wanted to do. All right. Okay, and then we get to the other entry. The other entry, remember that this is after the trip. So now after the trip, so you were feeling quite indifferent. You were feeling quite skeptical, very doubtful about the trip, all right? But now that you have done the trip, so what do you say about it now? Okay, what do you think that overall, was it a good experience? Or because you enjoyed the food, you enjoyed the scene, or was it bad? All right, so there's a number of things that you can speak about. There's a number of things that you can put on in terms of this trip. All right. Okay. So what happened ultimately? How did you find the place? All right. Did you enjoy it? All right. How was your accommodation? Were they welcoming? All right. Or did you feel that they were quite rude? Would you go back to this kind of place? All right. These are all thoughts that need to circulate and orbit your mind when you're about to do this thing. All right. Okay. So that is your diary diary entry that is out of 20. That's what you were expected to do. All right. Then we have got instructions. All right. Okay. Let's look at our instructions. All right. With our instructions, it says you have planned many successful birthday parties recently. Your friend has asked you for a set of instructions on how to plan a birthday party for his or her party. Write the instructions. Remember, this is, my boys and girls, it needs to be by far the best one. It needs to be the best kind of topic you can get, which is instructions, all right? Because all you need to do is plan instructions in a chronological order, all right? For example, if it's a birthday party celebration, of course, and it's your friend has asked you to write down some instruction on how to plan the birthday party. Of course, you need to first try and find out what kind of party you want to have. Okay. So find a location, all right? Make sure you've got the budget for it, all right? And then find a place to host your party. Is it going to be at a club? Is it going to be at home? Is it going to be at school? Find the setting there, all right? So what do you want to do first? Of course, you want to secure the venue, all right? So make sure you get the funding and you secure the venue, all right? So next up, what is it? Now, you need to find people who are going to help you with the decorations, all right? So you tell them that I need you to help me with the decorations, so and forth. And then thirdly, what do? You need to print out invitations and send out invitations first, informing the people that on such a date, you are going to be having a party, isn't it? All right. So that's exactly what you do at that time. All right. So after doing that, you tell your people and then you follow those instructions and then you see if they are well carried out. You plan, boys and girls. You need to plan at all times. So that's what I have for you for today. And this is what was expected for you to do, especially when it comes to your English paper 3. I wish you all the best. I hope that you are going to take these skills and take it through. So this is a developmental feedback that we give you, because this is where a lot of learners tend to lose many marks because they don't know what to do. Please look at your instructions. Understand what the question is asking you. All right, now we get to the shorter transactional pieces. All right, so your shorter transactional pieces that